even the beginning of Daniel 12:1 says, at a time of distress such as the world has never known.
That's right.
And I've often said that those two attributes, two characteristics, those who have insight and those who lead many to righteousness in that time frame of great distress, is those two characteristics are critical for that hour. And I think, like you said, the Daniel 12 goes on to say, seal up these books until the end of time.
Till the end of time.
Right.
Now,
so
I had an encounter on the Day of Atonement in a dream.
This year?
It was 3 years ago.
Wow.
Where an ancient box was given to me, and it was sealed, but I could open up the lid, and I was told to take the lid off. I opened it up, and I had to put my hand down inside this ancient box. I opened it up, and guess what? I pulled out of the ancient treasure chest, the book of Daniel.
Wow.
And I brought the book of Daniel out, and the Holy Spirit, it wasn't giving it to me, but it was giving it to me. It was giving it to us, saying that the spirit of revelation was being released upon the book of Daniel. And then I started doing research about divine intelligence.
Amazing. So in other words, would you say that is like Isaiah 11:2, the spirit of knowledge, where there's an actual spirit of knowledge that comes upon people, and they know things that they've never known before, impossible to know, kind of like what Elijah could see, or Elisha could see inside the king's bedroom and hear what the conversation was, that kind of knowledge.
Absolutely. I believe there is available. It's beyond a word of knowledge. It's a spirit of knowledge. So I've spent time researching, again, the 7 spirits of God. I studied it for years, but I never had permission to teach on it. I've only recently had permission from the Lord to start publicly teaching on some things that I've studied for a long time. So in the prophet book that came out a year ago, I finally teach on the 7 spirits of God and the 7 cultural spheres.
Okay, it's called, hold that book up again. Yep. It's called The Prophet, because we all know that one of the end time realities that Joel talked about, that Acts 2, that Peter resurfaced, is that at the end of the age, God's going to pour out on his spirit on all people. And the primary thing they're going to do is old men are going to have dreams. Young men are going to have visions. Men and women are going to prophesy. This is what is going to happen in the last days. So we need to get that revelation. How do people get that book, The Prophet?
Well, it's obviously available at Amazon and many different, it was published with a Destiny Image. It's at jamesgoll.com, but it's available in hardback, in paperback, in audiobook, in Kindle. It's in a YouVersion devotional. It's available in every available portable or format that there is.
So out of all the books that you've written, out of all the 50 books you've written or published, edited, would you say this is one of your most important ones, that you have been sitting on revelation for that book for a long time?
Yes. The publisher, when they approached me to do this book, they said, we want you to write a book about the prophet that if Jesus tarries, it would be like it would be a classic that would stand the test of time.
Wow.
And so they said, would you pray about doing this? And I said, no, I won't. I'll do it.
That's awesome. Even my book, Ecstatic Prophecy, that's what was in my spirit.
It's what it is. It's a classic. That's what the seer is. It's a classic. That's what this is. This is a solid because I give the best of the past, I give the best of now, and I project into the future as well.
So God was telling you 3 years ago that the book of Daniel would be very important and almost preparing you for this new era. So would you say one of the things to prepare people is to actually get a Bible and go through the book of Daniel, chapters 1 through 12, and study it out for this season? Is that what you're feeling, or
yes,
particularly Daniel 12?
Yeah, I would say, well, 7 through 9.
Yes.
You know that. And well, in chapter 1, because that's where it talks about that they were excellent and that they were learned in every branch of literature. And then it says, and God gave them. It says they were learned in every branch of literature. They went to the school of the Chaldeans. I think that's fascinating.
Very fascinating.
They didn't go to Hebrew University because they were in Babylon. So they didn't go to, hey, I'm going to say something and it's not a criticism. They didn't go to Oral Roberts University or Lee University or wherever. They went to the best that the world had to offer.
They went to the Harvards, the Yales, the Oxford.
Exactly. That's the better way of saying it. Let's say it positively. And they were learned, that means they did good in every branch of literature. Then it says this, and God gave them. So that means that there was, they studied to show themselves approved, a workman unto God, but then, and God gave them. And then it says, but God gave them, one translation says, divine intelligence.
Wow.
One translation says says understanding. So there is natural, and then God matches it with supernatural.